Welcome to the discussion episode of Series 25 Golden Sky Stories. Unfortunately, Amelia was unable to join us for this one, but it is still well worth a listen.
A lot of Kickstarters have wrapped up recently, but there's still some out there that need your help if you're able to pitch in. Kevin Petker's Princess World is in the last hours as of the release of this episode, so if you're interested in a really cool take on PBTA games, while also having a good resource for kids to play, you should definitely check that one out.
Absolutely. Another cool one that we have heard about recently, and we'll actually be discussing a little bit in next week's Character Evolution Cast episode, is a virtual tabletop called Multiverse. It looks like it brings some really cool sprite-based graphics to the virtual game board. Looks really interesting. I've been hearing a lot about this on Twitter. So check that out as well if you're interested in that. And there's still plenty of time in that Kickstarter out there. So if you're looking for something cool to throw your money at, if you have any available, definitely check those out.
We did get one new review since last week, so we do have something to read here again. If you want to help us out for next time, though, when we record this cold open, please leave us a rating or review, and review. Both are important.
We can't read ratings.
We can't read ratings. We could. 5 stars. 5 stars. 5 stars. 1 star.
By anonymous user?
Yes. Please leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or the podcatcher of your choice, and we will read it out here and thank you personally, like we are about to do, for this review from Siadasti from the United States of America on iTunes, titled, "The best part of playing games is character creation."
The best part of playing games
is character creation. We sang it for you. So the best part of playing games is character creation. So many cool games I wouldn't otherwise hear about, and the character creation gives you a pretty good idea of what the game is about. The hosts are earnest without being annoying, knowledgeable without being overbearing, and delightful without reservation.
Without reservation.
Delightful without reservation. That's mostly Ryan.
I guess it's infectious?
I guess. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much. That's a super sweet review.
It was. I really liked you in that one. Thank you so much, Dusty.
With all of that out of the way, here's the episode.
Yeah, enjoy. Welcome back to our discussion episode, everyone. Last time we created characters for Golden Sky Stories. This episode we will be discussing the character creation process. Unfortunately, Amelia is not able to join us for this discussion episode, but we are very excited to welcome back David Gunsberg and Morgan Jenkins. Do you two want to go ahead and reintroduce yourselves and for everyone at home, and tell us a little bit about the characters that you made last episode?
I would love to do that. Hi, my name's David Gunsberg. I'm a long-time game runner, game designer, and putative podcaster down in Australia. Waves upside-downedly from the other end of the planet for most of you. And last time, I made a very lovable doofus dog called Hoshi, who feels very protective and affectionate to the whole world and is basically a forever 11-year-old boy in human form wearing daggy clothes and a cap he's not convinced he's wearing.
Hoshi's such a good boy.
He is.
Mm-hmm.
And I am Morgan Jenkins, and I turn up in a lot of places, but I have a podcast called Going In Blind with vision-impaired players playing 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, and then my voice appears elsewhere. Good luck finding it. And I chose to make last time a burb called Karasu, who was a crow. And when I'm not in crow form, I tend to wander around with long black hair, eyeliner, long black clothes. Basically, I'm a goth, but I've got feathered bracelets because I'm a burb goth.
Super cool.
And then Amelia, she created a Shiro, a white-haired fox who is super old, wears a cardigan, and I don't remember too much else about that character, and Amelia's not here. So we'll move on to my character, Lady Sakura Flufferton, who is a very floofy gray cat with wild dark gray hair. When she is a human 18-year-old individual, although in her cat form, she's actually 39, which is quite old for a cat. And she likes to hang out in the rooftop gardens of town, especially with a particular older lady that she gets to keep company while she gardens all day in her retired old age.
Sakura is a very good floof.
Yeah.
Right?
Almost got floof in her name. Flooferton. So let's go ahead, now that we remember what our characters are, and dive right into a segment that we are calling D20 for Your Thoughts.
D20 for your thoughts?
All right. In this segment, we want to talk to our guests about their thoughts on the character creation process and how it relates to this system and to other games. But first, we'd like to get to know our guests a bit better. So we are going to get the cliche question out of the way. And can you both tell us how you got into RPGs in the first place?
Oh, where to start? I mean, I first got into RPGs in a boarding school that I did not attend, where my mother worked, and as a small distracting child, I was sent off to go torture some of the students, and they happened to be playing some strange game around a table with dice, and it looked interesting, and they very foolishly invited me up and let me play. And that was my first introduction to Dungeons and Dragons. And it wasn't for years later that a friend of mine then introduced me to 3rd edition just as 3.5 was coming out. And I went, oh, this seems somewhat familiar, but a little bit less insane than when I last played it. But it did take me a good 4 sessions to realize I was playing the same game. So that's kind of how I discovered RPGs. And then moved very quickly from there to many other RPGs, a lot of them powered by the apocalypse, and discovered live action RPGs, which are, it's like theater, but you get to throw fireballs at people. And that's pretty much my journey into the bright and wondrous world that is role-playing games.
Yeah, very cool. How about yourself, David?
I was, like so many people, introduced via a friend of mine's big brother, who we used to go around to their place and play board games and stuff, and he had this box. I never saw the cover of it, and I think it was one of the original Mensa white boxes, potentially.
Okay.
And we just had we all knew what we had was something different, but we didn't know what it was. Like, we were looking for the start here and the how do all these rules plug together?
Yeah.
And I can't explain how, but I had that feeling of there's something here. He had the B1 Descent into the Unknown module, which we all read together. And like looked at these rooms and when it doesn't tell us which order to do these in, and because there was no internet, there was no way of finding out that, look, it's entirely up to you. There's no, we had the B1 Descent. Oh, now I've thrown it. Anyway, I ended up going to my local bookstore to try and find it, and they were literally just putting out the first player's handbook and the monster manual. And I saved up. And I bought them both, the one with the really bad line art with the, I think it's the roper hanging upside down from the roof with the unicorn on the front, and the old PHB, and just inhaled them and then smuggled them into the Catholic boys' school that I was going to and recruited my friends into playing. And like so many people, when I discovered that there was what do you want to do now? You can do anything you want. That blew my mind, and I desperately wanted to play, but I became the forever DM.
Oh, yeah.
and now I've kind of full circle of life, run a campaign for my kids and run a campaign for my friends, and yeah, I love the power of connection that you get from RPGs.
Absolutely. Very cool. Well, can you both tell us then about your personal process for picking and creating characters in any role-playing system?
I don't get to create many characters. The few that I do when I get let out from behind the game running screen for whatever system we're running is I usually try and pick either a part of myself that I want to explore and build out from, or I try and think about a part of myself that I wish I had and try and build back towards me from that, because I genuinely believe that, games change you, and you get to deeply and immersively inhabit a place. And I want to try and inhabit places that are good for me as a person. So either exploring something about myself that I like, or trying to build something in myself through exploring the character. But as a game master, when I'm creating NPCs, I'm often looking across the table to think about what in the lives of the players can we explore by putting an NPC in front of their character that will also let them go on that transcendent journey of, you don't realize that the real dungeon is ourselves. Do you know what I mean?
The real dragon is ourselves too. Whoa.
Exactly. Yeah. So
the dragon was inside us all along.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I approach it.
Wow. That is so wholesome and holistic, and 100% not how I've ever approached ever playing a game of Dungeons and Dragons or any role-playing game. I prefer, it's funny that you say that you got relegated to DMing, but would like to play more characters. I love DMing, and I am so bad at playing characters that they almost always turn into some weird, the word when you're trying to, words are failing me, stereotype. There we go. They turn into some weird stereotype, and it's almost a lot of the time, and it's only in hindsight that I've learnt this, but my personal process for picking and creating a character in a role-playing system was almost always, what's annoying me and what do I need to work my way through? So a lot of my early characters, weirdly, were big jocks, lots of tanks, possibly very good at sports ball, had very low opinions about geeks. No idea what I was trying to work through there. And then at a certain point, they switched to being people who were trapped in the wrong body, or they'd gone through a Freaky Friday situation and it had gone wrong, or they were... there was one I played in a game of Masks where her whole thing was she woke up in the body of a security guard who's this big burly guy, and everyone looks at her like she's the wrong gender. And let's not unpack that for 30 years. And it was about using role playing to kind of work through my own anguish and angst, basically. And I would then come to a game with an idea of the type of character or problem I was working through, and then reverse engineer through the mechanics to create that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's awesome how in role-playing games you can have that safe space to explore either different scenarios of our own psyche, or exploring the psyches of others in order to have better empathy.
Oh yes, that is 100% what I was doing. I was very empathetic towards those big dumb jocks.
Well, at least to try to understand their mentality a little bit.
Yes, let's go with that.
I'm sure there's other reasons for that too. So let's go ahead and talk a bit more about Golden Sky Stories. How do we think character creation in this game stacks up to other systems that we've played?
Well, I'd love to hear your answer to that first.
My goodness. It was a lot simpler than most, right? The fact that it's diceless kind of threw me off at first, but the fact that your stats are it feels to me like your stats grow throughout the game, and then you spend them to do things, right?
Yeah,
is that kind of
that's exactly right.
Okay, so I picked up on that, but I wasn't 100% sure on that. But I hadn't read the rules, so that's okay. But it was a really interesting take on just pick your true form and figure out what you look like when you turn into a human, and here's some abilities that you can pick as well, and some abilities that you can have weaknesses attached to as well that do extra cool things. I think in the full core game, I think Morgan, you pointed out that there were extra things that you could choose from.
Yeah, they're when you get into the book and get down. And one thing we didn't mention last episode, but one thing that I love is the way the book is set out in a way to almost pull you into the narrative feel of the stories you're going to be telling with your table. It sets itself up as it takes you through character creation, and then through kind of exploring the expansion beyond your character into the town, into community and creation and ongoing stories and leveling up your character, for want of a better word. It does it in terms of seasons. So instead of chapters, it's spring and then summer and then winter and then however seasons are supposed to go. Autumn's in there somewhere, except you call it fall because the leaves fall down.
We swap between the two.
Oh, that's unhelpful. Although, to be fair, I did call a truck a lorry yesterday and got in trouble for it. So apparently we don't do that in Australia.
Interesting.
It's the first I've heard of it. But they have everything set out almost in terms of seasons. So as the year progresses in the book, you progress through the game, which I thought was quite lovely and fun. But it also... and I've forgotten the question you asked.
The how this stacks up to other games.
Oh, no. The very specific question, sorry.
Oh, yes.
It was how there are extra weaknesses, and in that section where you're creating the characters, underneath all what the fox does and the bird does and the garbage panda raccoon thing, they all have a good couple of pages of powers, and then underneath the powers you have the weaknesses with the additional powers. And so, for instance, I'm looking at the fox powers now, and beyond what you have in the quick start guide, you have these fantastic things like fried tofu, which apparently makes you a liar. Oh, wait, no, fried tofu is the weakness. Fantastic. And liar is the additional power. And
Whoa.
And it's just these fun, strange little powers and weaknesses that go above and beyond what you're already playing with.
So that, to me, that kind of leads into what I think is how I think it stacks up, in as much as it's a deceptively small game.
Yeah.
You're looking for what else there is. There's a single resource flow, and it has an abundance mentality built into it that basically says if you lean into this and you continue to be kind to the characters around you and continue to build connection, you will become more quote-unquote powerful. But the concept of powerful in this game is just, to me, so beautiful. Like we talked about it last episode, that the powers are things like, you can make it rain in a scene. It's got such a different ethos behind it that says all of the small things you'd gloss over are the big things. So what do you look like in animal form and what do you look like in human form, and how do those two relate? Is given space to breathe and space to explore. You get to explore that in this game, where in D&D you might just go, chainmail and a sword and a shield and it's got a dragon on the front. because it's got no mechanical impact. It's not going to impede you in any way. Whereas understanding, our four characters, form this unlikely group, and imagining what they're going to look like as they're moving through the town and who they're going to interact with. All those small things become material. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's got quite a unique, to me anyway, feeling that really leans into and gestures to you as a player or as someone who's running the game, saying everything about this has that feeling of gentleness.
Mm-hmm.
And again, in the same way that the mechanics of the game lead towards kindness and reward both kindness in terms of actions within the game and in terms of you handing out kindness to others begets further kindness. In the same way, these powers and weaknesses just give you so much character, and opportunities for growth and just fun, silly, weird little. For instance, the power liar gives you the ability to trick people that you're talking to if they basically fail an adult check against your Henge attribute. But the weakness you take with it, which I mentioned before, was fried tofu, and I didn't realize this is what it does. But and I don't know that we touched on this last episode, but there are transitional periods between being human and being animal. So, for instance, you can transform from one to the other, and it'll cost, say, 4 power to transform from animal to human. But if you wanted to only spend 2 of that instead of the full 4, you would transform into almost entirely a human, but not quite the whole way. So you would still have your tail, or you would still have your ears. But you would, so like a fox tail, but you're looking human. And the fried tofu weakness is that if you spot fried tofu, you love it so much, you just automatically partially come undone in your transformation. So if you're fully human, your ears pop up, or if your ears are already up, your tail turns up. And if you have ears and tails, you go all the way back to being a fox, and all just because you've spotted this fried tofu that you love. And so it's a beautiful, strange little fun weakness that you can play into and lead to fun, silly little strange parts of the adventure and stories. Or, even fun things where it's like, oh, they've gone into the shop. Does the shop have tofu? Oh, I can't go in there. I'll have to find a different way. And
that's amazing.
And it's just, I love that about this game, is that it gives you these fun, silly, strange little moments. For instance, I remember there was a game I was playing where a dog kept trying to jump into a pond to catch a fish for me because I wanted a fish and I was a cat, but I had inability to swim, and then I had to try and rescue the puppy, but I couldn't get in there. And it was a really fun, interesting quirk to the game that came out of these weaknesses.
If you take a position of embracing whimsy as well as embracing the kindness and connection component, you can just have a ton of really meaningful fun. And I think that character creation and the mechanics are pointed squarely at that.
Yeah, absolutely. How does the process then of character creation set players' expectations for playing the game?
Well, having run it at cons, some of the absences are notable. So, like the person who's looking for the "where's my violence-related statistics" can't find them because they're just not there. And the concept of like what powerful looks like is you are more powerful at these weird, strange, poetic haiku-like powers. So it takes a little while. It's like tuning into an old-fashioned analog radio. As you're going through it, there's a period of confusion where you're going, wait, this doesn't look and feel like other things I've done. And then it kind of clicks and crystallizes out, and I personally kind of get transported into a space that I don't normally inhabit in my gaming experiences. So I think that's fairly strong.
Yeah, absolutely. And like the part where we were doing the relationships with one another, the little snippets of our past lives together, was a nice little window into the slice of life world that this game is. They're like little vignettes of joy that kind of gives you a little foreshadowing of what the game's going to be about.
Yeah, it's very much like the sort of Dungeon World connections or PBTA connections, but like with everything, the scale is deceptively small. So I remember that one of the connections was your two characters having got trapped in a basement and found the perfect box for the cat to sit in. Whereas in other systems, it might have been, do you remember that time we raided the Goblin King's hoard?
Right.
And that same connection mechanic, but one is telling you about the scale and flavour of that game, and this informs the scale and flavour of this one.
And certainly as the book walks you through character creation, it also peppers in cultural notes and artwork and fun little asides and almost its own little mini adventure told in story form that unfolds as you progress through your own creation. It really helps give the flavour of what you're stepping into in terms of these mystical animals and what they do and how they present both within the game, but also encouraging you to take on that, it's almost like language bleed. Like you read the flow of these sections in between, and now here's what you do with the character, and then they'll tell you about the bird, and it really is very, especially in the English translation, very poetic, and it puts you in a mindset that you then step into your character creation, and they actually lead out the character creation with a sample story, so that just before you jump into it, you really get a sense of the flavor of, okay, here is how an adventure would go down, and then you can approach creating that character in that same manner.
Yeah, Ewan Clooney, who did the translation, I think has done a wonderful job. Like the best game systems in just moving through the rule book kind of just brings you into that space, and I think that this book does that really well. You know, if you listen to this and you decide to give it a go, the demo version that we link to, it's enough to get you started. But if you find that little first taste on the tip of your tongue makes you want to take a really big bite, then I can definitely recommend the book.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because I will say one thing that the Quick Start Guide doesn't bring across, and one thing that I think the DM then has to step up to do, is that in the same way that I said that the book really gives you that flow of how to approach these adventures before you step into the character creation, the Quick Start Guide doesn't give you as much of that. And I think then the DM who's familiar with the system, then has to be able to step up and encourage the players to, and basically have to tell everyone from the get-go, this is a group meditation on kindness. We're going to succeed. It's about begetting kindness with more kindness, giving each other dreams. Here are the mechanics. Here's how it's going to function. And basically, that can be a big ask if you're coming into a game to slay the dragon, to have someone turn around and say, no, you're coming into this game to do a nice small thing with a bunch of other people and reward those people for also doing the nice small thing.
Right.
And I think
usually that comes with like a scarcity mechanic, that if I've given that to you, I have less of the thing.
Right.
So there's an element of kind of stoking that fire of getting everyone to say, I like what you did. I like what you did. So here's a thing that has an impact in game.
Yeah.
But I think it means that you would have to have a very specific way of bringing people into the game. Otherwise, you'd potentially, and that goes for bringing them into the character creation as well, because otherwise they may get somewhat lost in the lack of familiarity, as it were. And then that can translate into the character creation and also into how they approach the gameplay aspect.
That makes sense. So what would we think then is probably the biggest flaw of character creation in this system?
I think that if you are coming in cold
Yeah.
It does feel very foreign. And I don't mean that in a, like a geography sense. I mean that in a mechanical gameplay sense. It can leave people like disorientated in a not good way. And that counterintuitively, the simplicity of the character creation, sometimes people who want to be able to I have a specific concept and I want to be able to explore everything, and this is going, well, this game is vested in the collective story, not necessarily each one of our characters. So there's a limited choice. Even in the full rulebook, there's a limited choice.
Okay.
And there's not exhaustive options. And so I think one of the downsides is it can potentially alienate people who haven't done slice of life stuff before, or who are concerned that a small story isn't going to have a fun payoff. I mean, we play to have fun, right? We play to explore ourselves and do those things. And from the outside looking in, it looks too lightweight to have an impact, when this game has delivered some of the most impactful sessions I've had with people.
Yeah.
So I don't think that always lines up. So it's a good one to have someone guide you through, or failing that to, because we live in the future. There's a couple of really nice playthroughs on YouTube that you can watch to help you kind of grapple with that.
Yeah, I didn't think there was anything that like hugely stood out aside from that for flaws. And I think if I had the full book in front of me, things would have made a little bit more sense at first. But it works for what it needs to do, and it really gets the point across of this is the type of game you're going to be playing. So having a lack of details and all that sort of stuff, that's just a feature.
And I think it can be intimidating for new players who are looking for lots of scaffolding.
Yeah.
Where, like with Descent into Midnight, you kind of come going, wait, what? It's all on this 2 pages and we haven't even got the world yet?
Yeah.
And that whole, you've actually got to relax. There is enough going on here that a story will just generate out of what we're putting out there.
Yeah.
But if you're used to other systems that you draw a sense of comfort from, I have my fistful of dice and I have my 6-page character sheet, and I can see you as the game master have a big screen and a pile of books. I know we're not going to be short of content. We will be having a game. That seeing so little and no dice at cons, people are like, what dice do I need? And I go, none. We've got these random coloured buttons that we're going to use as our kindness tokens. Is a very different thing.
It is, absolutely. All right, so I wanted to we don't get to ask this question too often. I wanted to talk a little bit about playing an animal character versus playing a person. What do you see as the challenges and benefits of doing so in a game like this, especially?
Oh, I mean, I know for me, especially anytime I'm playing a cat, it's mostly just in the same way that I would play a jock in order to garner, let's call it empathy for them. Whenever I play a cat, they're normally all the unhelpful habits that my particular cat has been exhibiting in the last week or so, writ large on the big screen. So I tend to be thoroughly unhelpful. And then is it, Morgan, what are you doing that for? I'm like, because Bernard did it at 6 a.m. So there's that. You can it becomes a game of, what are the fun, weird little idiosyncrasies of the animals that I'm aware of, and how can I then present them in game form in a way that's not disruptive? But then the thing that then comes to me is, when your animal becomes human, how do you carry those forward? Very rarely when I play this game do I bring my character to the table as a person and then reverse engineer them towards an animal. It's always animal first, and then how do some of those strange little idiosyncrasies switch forward into a person? So as a human presenting henge, I would, if I was a cat, it would be a lot of, if I'm flustered, I self-soothe by grooming, because that's how you do. And
the game sets you up to sort of start from that animal position. And I know we have mentioned this over and over, but I think they are spiritually related games. In the same way Descent into Midnight says that its setting is a never has and never will have humans in it. We are outsiders in human culture.
Yeah.
And we set ourselves up as these mildly magical spirits that live alongside and within human society but aren't active participants in it most of the time. You can run a game where it's all very out in the open. But then when you transform, you get to experience that thing of looking at humanity from the outside. And it tends to highlight the angels of our better nature when you just want to help the old lady get the flowers and take them up to the shrine. Yeah. Because from the outside you can see the beautifully human moments so clearly, rather than being, I'm another human. You are literally a Rich Howard shout out, don't be a human in a dolphin suit. The flip side is that you really are a cat in a human suit. You really, and to help you out, you've brought a puppy in a human suit, and now we're going into a school to talk to some teachers. Like you are experiencing the outsiderness at a very profound level, which I think can be super fun.
Yeah, it's almost akin to, like you said, Descent into Midnight, getting into that sort of alien mindset, that mindset of the other, that when you try to transcend human
experience,
vision, like
context.
The human experience of being able to experience life as a human being, and trying to focus your thoughts into how does an ordinary cat or an ordinary bird experience the world, and now how does that viewpoint of the world expand to be, what does this creature think of humanity when they look at it from that perspective?
And also, to what level do they even understand humanity? Because a lot of the times I've played a character who you like to think, you have a vague understanding of how this society works, but you could play a henge that is there to help the people, but couldn't tell you what a sweet shop was, and has no idea how these people keep climbing inside and out of these large metal noisy things that then transfer them place to place, and just finds the whole thing mystifying and strange and terrifying, and at that point would probably have an adult of 0 on the character sheet.
Yeah.
But and so if in the way of a cat might not understand what a car is or how the niceties of society work, they can be a human, but they're not very good at being human. Right. And you can bring that through and forward into the characters in strange and fascinating ways.
And then you get to share these small but profound moments of humanity that I like the way Morgan describes it often as saying, you're going to play from things that from the outside are small but are massive to the people in them. So the game we played earlier this week, there was an old woman who just wanted to get the right flowers to take to an offer tree for someone who they loved very much. And you get to remind yourself as us, the human beings, that these small moments are deeply profound in each and every one of our memories. When you think back on your schooling, when you think back on your first crush, there are a couple of these tiny little moments that are so mundane, but they just sing in your heart and sing in your memory. And to, even in playing pretend, share these with the humans that we aren't. We get to see them do it and know that we've contributed to making that moment happen. I think is just a fun place to inhabit and a meaningful place to inhabit. when you're playing this kind of character as that sort of animal-human hybrid.
Absolutely. And I think there's something to say about specifically playing as an animal that we recognize from our own world, looking outward at humanity, is a lot different than, say, like trying to play an alien or trying to play a ghost or, something otherworldly, but like is more unfamiliar, right? When you're playing or just an ordinary cat, just an ordinary dog, just an ordinary bird, whatever, there's something that's kind of special about that, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like they're a lot more relevant and prevalent in our reality.
Yeah.
And because of that, then when you layer the mysticism and the spirituality in on top of that, of now they're this mystical creature, it really lends that air of magic. Because if you go, it's a vampire, everyone's like, yep, it sparkles, it broods,
Yep.
we get that. But if it's a cat, right up until it's not a cat, then that's almost a much more, not shocking, but revelatory transformation.
Absolutely. And the nature of this game, I don't think would work with aliens or ghosts or what have you, because it's about, it probably would work. It probably wouldn't work as well.
You need
I think you need that touchstone.
The magic in the mundane.
Exactly. So you've got this super mundane.
Yeah, perfect comment is perfect.
Yeah. It's good. It's just good.
I cheated. I used alliteration. That's always cheating.
You did. That's not fair. So let's talk a bit about the group cohesion, aka the fan fiction portion of our show. So we made these fantastic characters with a few links last episode. What do we think we would be up to?
Well, I mean,
What would be a good scenario?
this is the thing, because we have, in terms of our connections amongst each other, we have those, but then we also have connections out into the world. And that's one of the best bits about building that connection, is we have these different disparate threads that we can potentially pull on. So we have, I vaguely remember, I want to say he was a mailman that was delivering mail that I would sit in the front of the basket of.
Yeah,
and
you had
so,
a post carrier.
Yep, and so that's a potential in terms of stories, and then there's also the little old lady that the fox would talk to, if memory served.
The cat, the
Yeah.
rooftop gardener.
The rooftop garden with the cat.
the rooftop gardener old lady. Yep,
Yeah,
that's the one that my character went after.
and so you would have these little decisions like, maybe the little old lady needs to get another bag of soil out of the basement, and it just so happened to have been the basement that we got trapped in the box in.
Yeah.
And so we would have to help her with her arthritic limbs get that bag of soil up to her rooftop garden.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if I've, as a game master, thought a bit about this over the last week, and was thinking about the small but meaningful collisions we could create in the humans we were thinking about, and the intergenerational thing of like the 11-year-old that Hoshi is looking after the little soccer player, kicks the soccer ball up onto the rooftop garden and damages some plants, and creates just a small thing where, we would then want to go, oh no, the soccer ball broke the plants. And we would just introduce this old woman to this young 11-year-old soccer tomboy, and just be there for them. And because of the way the game's set up, she might be a bit cross to start with, but then explore what connection they find with each other.
Yeah.
And then
They're both fans of the boy band.
yeah, they're both fans of a boy band, or or we need to fold in the purchase of the new pot, which is going to be delivered, and so then we can roll our postman in that the postman is going to interact with the boy to buy I think it wasn't a boy, it was a tomboy girl, if I remember correctly. I'm sure the listeners will tell us, but in my mind, she's become the tomboy of that family that Hoshi's been looking after for hundreds of years. That the pot arrives as a special delivery, and the postman and the boy take it to the old lady on the rooftop garden, and they might make a repot a plant. Now that sounds so small.
Yeah.
But we would be nudging them all the way along and be around them and be around each other, and there would be the chance for Flufferton to have a conversation with the boy, with the little girl. That would be in like a mixed Henge form, because they're 11, they still see us and are okay with us.
And again, because it's multiple episodes, this is the kind of game that you would want to play again and again. So the first playthrough could be the pot, the second playthrough a soccer ball, the third playthrough you're dealing with another element of these. Maybe it's just one of the humans that you're interacting with that time. Then at some point the pot gets broken, and then the little kid puts it together and Kensuke's it up with some gold dust that they found, and it's all about helping build these little moments that we can then step into, and how you would step into them, and
in stepping in, sorry to jump on that,
please
but
do.
That when we built this party, we had 3 characters that were very low in the adult stat, and the only character that had any decent adult was Amelia.
Yes.
And as a fox character, they're the one that the closest to the gods and find humans. So she would be the kind of party face, but there would be, I think, a lot of at the shenanigans that the dog and the burb and the cat made happen, and then going, we're going to need you to go and talk to someone.
And the fact that within our group, we all have a better understanding of people, but not necessarily how to make decisions for and with those people.
Yeah.
And so it becomes this, us having to almost explain humanity to our friend, who can then explain how to help that humanity.
Yeah, we've got all the insight but are unable to act on it.
Yeah.
And our kitsune is able to act on it, but is just like
thoroughly confused by the whole thing.
There would be some beautiful moments of it's like, we've accidentally done a thing, and now we need you to do a thing because of the thing we did. Yep. And we need you to talk to some people, which is totally your favorite thing. And I think that could be quite joyous, knowing that journey will be okay.
Yeah.
And we'll end with the, Miyazaki soundtrack piano as we pan back from the town and everything is good.
This game sounds like a storytelling meditation.
Yeah.
Where it just sounds so relaxing.
It really is.
I know. Oh my gosh. I want to play this so bad.
The offer is open anytime, and what with coronavirus, my schedule might open up quite substantially over the next few weeks.
We're all in front of our computers from now on.
Yeah, I have a feeling that I might be staying home as well sometime very soon, working from home for the most part.
Yeah, we're currently setting that up with work as well, in which case I will have free time.
Yeah, so perhaps we'll see if we can make that happen.
That's it.
Yeah.
But I
think it's right in your wheelhouse, Ryan. It really
absolutely,
is.
And it's such
like
a fun
if you could take me and put me into a game, like just transform me into a game. This kind of sounds like it. And I
feel that this game is a kindred spirit to me.
For me, it's very much it's that one nice comment when you're having a not great day that just helps calm everything inside you. And that's what this game is. It just puts that hand on your shoulder and is like, hey, no, we got this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a fun, light, pleasant, and you can take it to places that are bittersweet, but very rarely will it won't go to dark places. At worst, it'll go to somewhere bittersweet where you're crying but you're happy, and and it truly is one of my favorite games.
When I was a younger player, I thought that the only way to get, and Game Master, the only way to get feelings was to do grimdark.
Mm-hmm.
You know, horrible, deeply horrible, shocking things happening.
Oh, the number of families of mine that were left in charred villages before I started my adventure.
Yeah, totally. And as I'm growing older and looking at the world and very much in that hope punk, kindness is a radical act.
Yeah.
Kindness is not necessarily just softness and weakness, and going to be unironically positive about something that deserves to be positive.
Mm-hmm.
That we should lift up and amplify. Sits really comfortably with me.
Absolutely.
There would have been a time that going, look, we're going to play this small game would be, I'm worried that doesn't look tough enough. That doesn't look, grognardy enough. And now it's like, no. No, there is a shortage of kindness and connection in the world. And so, there is a shortage of kindness and connection in the world, and anything we can do to reinforce and celebrate those links amongst ourselves as real people at a table through a game that allows that to happen, I'm all for it.
All right. So now that we've gotten that out of the way,
take it up a level.
Let's take it up a level. My favorite segment title. Take that, Amelia.
Take it up a level. Take it up a level.
Puns are life. There is no bad pun.
Uh-huh. In this segment, we will cover character advancement and growth in the system, if it has that. But first, let's see, how do we think characters change as people within the narrative of the game? So how do our characters grow as people as we play through this game?
Well, this is the biggest gap between the demo version and the full version. So in the demo version, it kind of roughly indicates how the connections work, but in the full version, the connection is really the meat and potatoes of that, where you have the connections flowing to and from your character, and as they deepen and become richer, that is what gives you those two resource pools of wonder and feelings that you use to power your Henge magic and power your abilities. And you really, our characters grow by spending time in those connections with each other and with the village and with the NPCs that we've created. So it says to you, like if for your character to grow, go and be with these people and explore that connection. And there's that mechanic of you offer up, I would like to deepen that connection between, this NPC, you've just done this great thing for them. They're going to offer up deepening that connection with you. Do you accept that? Yes. What's the one word adjective we want to use to label that connection? And that's where you get those arcs of, moving from rivals to respect or moving from affection to acceptance or potentially love,
friendship to family.
And that love might be if you were to play a young kitten with a young child and help them through their small child challenges, and they move from being really affectionate towards their kitten or their puppy to go. And if you've had kittens or puppies when you're a kid, there's that moment where you go, no, this animal is not just an animal anymore. They are a part of my life, my family, my people. And so every one of those connections is an arc that deepens and strengthens. And there's a lovely mechanic that when you fill up, for want of a better word, your connection to a character and their connection to you, you kind of color in all the way across the character sheet, and it becomes a thread that's like in another game that would be like a castle or some huge asset that you've created for this character. In this game, that becomes an unbreakable relationship that now exists and carries forward from tale to tale to tale.
Oh, nice.
And again, I
love that.
love how the narrative influences the mechanics, influences the narrative, influences the mechanics. Because there are times in RPGs where the story you're telling and the mechanics you're using to tell the story don't necessarily line up, and you have to drag them together kicking and screaming. And here it really is a very purpose-built system to create this narrative flow, but also this sense of a growing connection to the wider community of this town. That then just builds and builds. And within that, it provides you more wonder, more feelings, more dreams that then feed back into growing those connections and fostering new connections, and so on and so forth up the evolutionary ladder, until ultimately, I think if you were to keep playing and playing and playing, you would just have a sheet covered in threads, and everyone in the town would be attached to you in such a meaningful way that I'm not sure what you would do after that. Transplant the entire town into a city and keep growing.
Yeah. I guess if you run out of people to have permanent connections with.
But even then, you can't run out of people, because those people will have more people, and then you start it again with the little ones.
Our town has 5 people in it, so this will be a fun campaign. Awesome. So do characters level up in Golden Sky Stories?
Not really. What levels up is your connection.
Okay.
That's where the arcs are vested.
Right.
They're not vested in you collecting the full power set, because they're largely on offer to you from the beginning.
And they do increase your wonder, and they do increase your feelings, and then you can also increase your dreams and utilize all of that to be able to do bigger and better and more exciting things more often. But it's not about reaching, XP to reach level 3 or level 4. It's about, how would you describe it? It's about gaining XP to create more XP, to gain more XP, to create more XP, to gain more.
Which is expressed as
connections.
A connection.
Yeah.
It's like saying, how can I put this? Your characters are leveling up and getting to know the bard that runs the tavern over the campaign. And years later, when you look back, you talk more about, I love that bard. That, do you remember how we used to hang out in her tavern and how awesome she was?
Yeah.
Just kept tossing those coins to those witches.
And this game is saying, well, that tells us that the leveling up of your character was that the relationship with the NPC was as important as your leveling up. So let's not worry about that leveling up, and let's just make the deepening and enriching of that relationship with that NPC the point.
Yeah.
And I guess to draw parallels to D&D further, that state we talked about in the past where all connections in the town exist and all those connections have turned into threads, that'd be like level 20 plus. That's where you've maxed out everything and now you're just going on adventures.
Then I'd go into a happiness coma.
Yeah. and it everything before that is from, level 1 up to 20 of you growing your understanding of your character, your understanding of your party, and also your understanding of the town and your connection to that town. And that's the level mechanic, which is, again, it's a very almost cooperative level mechanic, and encourages you to not think of it as me leveling up my existence. It's about us and the town as entities coming closer together. And the closer we get to each other in these connections, the higher a level we all collectively now are.
That's awesome. My goodness. There's so much good stuff about this game.
This game is about being we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And like right now in the real world at this point in time, that's a thing that's ultra true.
Yeah. Absolutely. we need to remember to take care of one another and to make sure that we're safe and our loved ones are safe.
Yeah,
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. This COVID-19 virus is something that we might catch as individuals, but it's about who are we collectively going to become in the face of it.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so. And there's one thing that I was talking to my sister about recently where it almost becomes, it's not about am I susceptible or am I not, am I high risk or am I not? It becomes about what am I going to do to reduce my risk of gaining the infection, not necessarily for me, but for me then being able to pass it on to other people. It becomes your civic duty, your point of kindness to be able to say, no, I need to step back from these gatherings on the off chance that I, as a healthy person, will pass it on to someone who is more at risk.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that we have to wrap it up. So, David and Morgan, thank you both so much for joining us to create characters for Golden Sky Stories and joining me today to talk about Golden Sky Stories. Can you go ahead and remind everyone where they can find you online and what sort of things you're working on?
Okay. Well, I can certainly kick that off by saying at Morrigan Jenk, Morrigan like the witch, Jenk like the first couple of letters of my last name, is where you will find me. And you can also track down my podcast, Going in Blind. It's got a season out, and at some point in the next 100 years, we might even get a second season edited and put together because it's sitting there in raw audio on my computer. I was also a judge on Geek Wars. I am the interstitial singer on DM Nastics. I have been interviewed on Dungeon Master's Block and the Young Justice Files Whelmed podcast, and I'm also a voice on We're So Bad at Adventuring.
Mm-hmm.
And I might have a secret Golden Skies Stories podcast in the works. Shush.
And I am best findable online at my Twitter, which is Tigranosaurus1, as in the beginning of the word tiger and the end of Tyrannosaurus Rex, because reasons. And it's Tigranosaurus1 because, unbelievably, I wasn't the first person to have chosen that as my name. And hopefully at some stage in the not too distant future, there'll be a Golden Sky Stories podcast, potentially featuring some people who are around this microphone on it, if we can make that happen.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both so much again. And thank you to our audience for sitting down to listen with us, to listen to us, actually. We will see you next time.
Character Creation Cast is a production of the One Shot Podcast Network and can be found online at www.charactercreationcast.com. Head to the website to get more information on our hosts, this show, and even our press kit. Character Creation Cast can also be found on Twitter at CreationCast or on our Discord server at discord.charactercreationcast.com. I'm one of your hosts, Amelia Antrim, and I can be found on Twitter at Ginger Reckoning or on my other podcast, Garbage of the Five Rings. Our other host, Ryan Bolter, can be found on Twitter at Lord Neptune or online at lordneptune.com. Music for this episode is used with a Creative Commons license or with permission from the podcast they originated from. Further information can be found within the show notes. Our main theme music is Hero Remix by Steve Combs and is used with a Creative Commons license. This podcast is owned by us under Creative Commons. This episode was edited by Amelia Antrim. Further information for the game systems used and today's guests can be found in the show notes. If you'd like to leave us a rating or review, we have links to various review platforms out there, including Apple Podcasts, in our show notes. Also check the show notes for links to our other projects. Thanks for joining us. And remember, we find that the best part of any role-playing game is character creation. So go out there and create some amazing people. We'll see you next time. Now we gotta read some show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Character Creation Cast is hosted by the One Shot Podcast Network. If you enjoyed our show, visit oneshotpodcast.com where you will find other great shows like All My Fantasy Children.
Each week, Aaron Catano-Saez and Jeff Stormer take a listener-submitted prompt and, using some of their favorite tabletop RPGs, create an original fantasy character. Along the way, they share laughs, stories, verbal hugs, and populate a shared universe, one story at a time. I did it. Oh, and it's recording. I remembered to set it to the right microphone before we recorded.
Oh, good job.
I know, thank you.
Oh, gosh, that was just even better than I could have imagined.
I'm going to eat more Pop-Tarts. I have to have 300 calories, okay?
That's like 2 Pop-Tarts.
I don't know how many calories in we talked about this, that my doctor was like, a banana has 300 calories. And I was like, Dr. Heaton, it does not, and I don't know how you became a doctor. Because you don't know
language
about bananas.
That would be 3 bananas worth.
See, I'm not eating 3 bananas. That's what I said.
Okay,
I think she's thinking of plantains.
That was one medium banana. Let me go for extra large, 9 inches or longer. 135 calories.
We're all thinking it. It's fine.
Perhaps your doctor was talking about the big banana, which is an attraction in Australia.
And if you
Maybe that's it. She seems like a well-traveled lady.
Exactly.
There is a 225 gram 1 cup mashed banana. That's 200 calories only.
See, I ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I ate one of those little Uncrustable sandwiches. Yesterday I was only like 200 calories.
So it says 9 inches or longer and 152 grams.
Where does that sit in the kind of FCC guidelines about what we're allowed to talk about?
Oh, it's 100% permissible. We're talking about fruit.
We can talk about bananas all day long. That's fine. Yeah, there's a lot of different sizes of bananas, and it's fine. You can eat whatever one you want.
Yeah, and they're all natural.
And
There's
you know
no
what?
such thing as an average banana size.
And I think it's important to note that some people don't like bananas.
That's true.
I
I'd say
personally-
that the closest to average is a medium-sized banana at 7 to 7.8 inches long.
Well, I think there are some people that can't have bananas if they have a latex allergy.
I have a slight allergy to bananas. It's not bad. I can still eat
I gotta go put my kids to bed. I'll be right back.
Okay. But they tingle my throat a little.
Yeah. I have that with carrots. And then with avocado, it just kills me.
Oh, that's not good.
No.
Well, that means you can save up for a house, though.
Well, that's it, yeah, because I can't eat avocado toast. So, I don't have to save up for a house. This is mine. So it already worked. My lack of
Buy
avocado.
a second one with your avocados.
There you go.
Yeah, I am the proof that all those boomers who are spreading that rumor, they're telling the truth.
Yeah, so Ryan, one of our political leaders, when being asked about the fact that shockingly it would appear that young people who are coming through aren't earning enough and saving enough to be able to buy a house, he said, well, that's because they're spending all their money on avocado toast.
Wow. That's a lot of avocado toast.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many people made that calculation on Twitter within minutes.
But yeah, no, I can't have avocado toast and I have a house. Well, the bank has a house.
Yeah.
I just get to live here.
So I want to say that there is an anonymous auroch and an anonymous jackal looking at the sheet, and I'm not sure which is which. So
nice.
I'm
guessing I'm one of them.
One is
an
auroch.
I think, I can see that an anonymous auroch is watching and Character Creation Cast is watching. So, anonymous auroch is typing.
Yeah, I'm down at guests, so I'm highlighting guests at the moment.
And I'm going to...
So I think you're Jackal. Jackal. It's a jackal. Jackal. Jackal.
Yep. So David's the jackal. Whoa.
David the jackal. Grar. I don't know if that's what a jackal...
That is...
Yeah, and then David is also the... What was the other thing? The auroch?
You're the auroch.
Auroch.
No, you're the auroch as well.
Aurochs.
I don't even know what that is. See, these... we should...
It's like a type of bowl, I think.
We can put... we should be submitting Descent into Midnight deep-sea creature suggestions to Google so you could have, anonymous goblin shark.
I've done one character suggestion every single day since they announced the Kickstarter or something.
I've been loving them. They've been great.
Thank you. I've been having so much fun thinking about them. I didn't have enough room for my latest one, though. I ran out of Twitter characters.
So can I pitch you the campaign I want to run?
Yeah.
So I want to run a long. You'll pick up a theme in the things that interest me and what I think we need to put in the world. Ryan, is I want to run a long form Descent into Midnight campaign where the existential threat is a thing called the fade, and the fade is people just don't care about each other anymore. And you've got to work out, like, the community's just coming apart because people just, a loved one of yours starts to get the fade and they just start to love you less and your family less. Not depression.
Yeah.
But like their capacity to feel emotions just fades.
Yeah.
And when everyone gets the fade, the community falls apart.
Yeah. Yeah, that's brutal.
See, I think I said to you in a tweet once that I think this game is spiritually related to Descent into Midnight, and I'm happy to say this again when we kick off, that this is also about a game about community and connection. The core mechanic is when someone else does something kind and lovely and we like that, we just give them a token.
Oh.
And say, that was a lovely thing that you did.
Yeah.
And those build up, and then I use those to make connections. I ask whether you would like to strengthen your connection with me, and the guide might say NPCs want to strengthen their connection with you. And at the beginning of each scene, we effectively power up equal to the strength of our connections to and from each other.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
It absolutely mechanically says to you, form deep, meaningful connections with each other, help the town.
Yeah.
And it's very small scale. Descent into Midnight is huge, earth-shaking stuff.
Yeah.
This is...
Stop talking. She's here. No, just kidding.
Yeah. Okay. No, you're right.
Like it hasn't been recording this whole time.
Who has an 11-inch banana? I mean, really?
I mean, come on. Nate has his first, competition thing tomorrow. And he's so nervous, and he's making me pick out which button down he's going to wear and which sweater goes with which button down. And he's 8. It's
That's adorable.
He looks like a little old man when he wears sweaters. It's very funny to me.
Yeah, I have twin 8-year-olds, so when you were talking about you can't see how messy my house is, it's like, oh, Amelia, I feel you.
Yeah. I mean, my kids are only here half the time, though, so the rest of our house is actually clean because we're getting a puppy tomorrow.
Puppy.
She's coming home
fluffiest
tomorrow.
looking thing in the world.
She's so fluffy. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for all the puppy pictures that you'll be posting. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, that's all my Twitter is now, is just pictures of Winnie. And then when I get my own puppy later on, because it's a different puppy.
Yeah.
Because I'll be getting my own puppy in a couple months.
Ooh.
It'll be pictures of that puppy, which I think I'm going to name either Peggy or Midge.
Oh, interesting. They're very old school names.
Yeah.
Harkens back to the 40s or something. Nice.
The kind of
She's
name.
a classy lady.
Yeah, classic names.
Classic.
Should we record a podcast?
Let's do a podcast.
If
I mean, we
want to.
can.
Let's make some people.
We got to talk
Wait.
about making people before we can make some people.
That's true.
We already talked about the bananas, so we're
Right.
halfway there.
At least half.
Not enough calories in.
No, I'm still eating these Pop-Tarts. I'm going to have to mute my microphone.
I was trying to look up calories of Pop-Tarts for you, and then we talked about bananas, and I got sidetracked.
Banana Pop-Tarts.
Next time I'm at the gym.
They should make those.
Right? Don't they make strawberry ones? They could totally make banana.
That's what I'm eating strawberry right now.
Yeah. Okay.
They make gross milkshake ones.
Unfrosted. I'm assuming frosted because that's the good one.
Yeah.
Obviously. Unfrosted
What?
Pop-Tarts are why even bother?
Unfrosted ones in Australia.
Unfrosted Pop-Tarts have more calories than a frosted Pop-Tart.
Do they dip it in extra sugar or something?
They must put more filling. They probably put more filling in there to make you feel less sad about it.
Yeah.
They're you're eating an unfrosted Pop-Tart. Have a little more jelly on the inside.
Yeah, but I mean,
That's true.
that doesn't make sense to me. It's so you don't want your sugar on the outside? We'll put it on the inside. There you go.
Well, yeah, because
still
you don't
getting
see it then.
You can't
Since you
see
don't,
it.
Since you don't
As
see
long
it,
as it doesn't have sprinkles, it's healthy.
it's the 1-year-old like mentality of Pop-Tarts.
Oh, it's object permanence for Pop-Tarts?
Yeah. It's not there. So the calories must not exist.
That's just science.
That's science. Yep.
We don't make these rules. We just live by them.
Yeah.
Waves
So-
go in, waves go out. You can't
To answer
explain
your
that.
question, it's 200 calories for a strawberry Pop-Tart that's frosted.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Well, I have 2 of them here, so
That's enough calories then.
that is.
what we
Having
Yeah.
started going to the gym recently, it is
Why?
absolutely soul crushing to see, like, I jog for an hour listening to podcasts, and it says, you've burnt 30 calories. Like, not quite, but there's that kind of emotional looking and going, oh my God, that's,
I worked so hard.
yeah,
That's not even a banana.
I know. I will turn to the guy next to me and say, that's not even an inch of banana that I've worked off then. And I had a big one just before.
Seriously. Well,
I've got
it kinda-
9
it kinda
inches
makes
to
you-
burn off.
I think, okay, so here's my theory. Exercise is only there to make you think about eating less. Because you're like,
Wait,
I could have this 200 calorie dessert,
Banana.
200 calorie cup of
Banana
banana.
pudding.
Right? Yeah, banana pudding, like a whole cup of it, because I looked that up. Or I could jog for 2 hours.
I don't think that's the case. I think it's there to make the food taste better. In the same way that
that's true.
if you're not thirsty and you have a drink of water, it tastes like nothing, and why are you doing this to yourself? But if you're thirsty and you have water, it tastes amazing. So I feel like it's like, look, I'm going to have a family-sized pizza, and the guy delivering it's going to make eye contact with me, and we both know there's no one else in here. It's just me and the cat. But before I do that, I'm going to go, jump on a trampoline for an hour with people that look very different to me. And
Well,
and that's
right.
going to make the pizza taste better.
I guess that's...
There is no joy without sorrow. There is no pizza without a treadmill.
No joy without sorrow. And your Pop-Tarts can either come with the sorrow frosted on the outside or hidden on the inside.
Or hidden on the inside. Absolutely.
I prefer my sorrow on the outside.
Yeah. So I have to be honest.
I don't
and
even
say
know what to say to that. I don't even know where to go from there.
Yeah. I know I'm kind of fanboying at the moment and would happily just talk to the 4 of you. I have no children in the house.
What happened?
There's 4 people over there. Oh, I'm one of them. Holy.
Oh, language.
Oh my God, I'm in this. There's not 5 people, David. That's
Your
you.
face is so red right now. It's okay.
I know. I'm having.
Have you heard our outtakes? We are an embarrassment to ourselves.
And that's not even all
You
the
can't
outtakes.
you can't hurt this.
No.
This is already broken.
Honestly, and I said this to you before, I'm going to say it again. You are the most professional out of all of us here in terms of podcasting. Trust me. You are fine. You're in good hands. We are all hot
Yeah, and that guy I can see there, who's also in the podcast, he looks like he's doing all right.
I'm doing all right.
See, we're all in different positions, I'm sure, because
Yeah, you point over there. You are pointing at my other monitor.
Everyone is over here.
Everyone's over there on you. Yeah, well, everyone's
that I
that way for me.
So that I can see the screen.
That's because you're in Australia. Okay, I love you. I love you all, and you're wonderful. But once my meds kick in, I only have till 10:30. So let's do a
do this.
podcast.
All
Let's
right.
do this. I was just trying to see if there was an invert camera setting on my
Oh.
phone so I could flip myself upside down
Here,
for the duration.
here. Let me do it for you. Look at that. There you go. This is what it's.
So now it feels
This
like
is-
home.
This
It won't stay like that,
how we
though.
live every day. This is all right, Ryan. I think
And this
you're
is
the
a joke
grown-up.
only for us.
Oh my God. I'm okay.
No.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
Ryan the grown up. Let's do this.
All
I
right.
can call you Ryan the grown up, can't I?
I'm technically a grown up. Yes.
By institutional governmental standards.
Yeah. People
got
put
your
an
letter.
age on me and call me a grown up by default.
I'm
I
not
don't
allowed
need
to be a
listen
grown up.
them. Yeah, me neither.
Welcome to Character Creation Cast. We're really excited you could join us.
Start it.
All right, I'm going to do a 5 count of silence, and then we'll actually start. All right, here we go.
Here come the fingers.
Start as you mean to go on. We've been bananaed. We've been fingered.
Oh my god! Family!
Ryan did both of them.
Here's the thing, though. Children don't know.
No.
They're like, why are they talking so much about bananas? And we're like, because we're grown-ups and we want you to eat healthy.
We do.
Fruit is important.
Potassium.
Okay.
Is super
I'm so
important.
sorry, Ryan.
Except that
I had to do it.
oh,
Do we need
I'm dying.
do we need a second fingering, anybody, or are we good to go?
I think we're good with one.
Yeah.
We already got the silence, so that's
I've
all
got the
it's
hot
for.
flush going on.
Uh-huh.
Christ.
All right.
Okay.
I need to hydrate. I haven't figured out how to mute my microphone. There's like
No.
Okay, so David, you have the same mic I have.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried don't try it now.
Please
have you ever
don't.
tried turning off the mic while you're recording it and turning it back on?
Yes.
Does it work?
It does, but you get a lot of microphone noise. And
Alright.
depending on the piece of software, it goes, oh, that microphone has disappeared.
Yeah.
So I've done it once. This Surface doesn't like recording. I don't know why. So I did it once, turned it off and turned it on again,
Yeah.
and it defaulted back to the Surface speaker.
Ooh.
And because I wasn't, like I can't see Zoom right now. I've
Yeah.
got the Google Doc and the 5 of us. And I didn't realize until later that I was talking into my microphone and the Surface had gone back to default.
Oh. Then I will never touch that button.
No, I just cheated. I always put everything through the Behringer, and then it had a mute button on it. So I could
that's
mute
that's
things.
nice. I might
then it
pick one up. I might pick something up like that so I can have a mute button. Like literally only so I can have a mute button.
Yeah.
Because I hate having to blow my nose, and I could mute this, but I cannot
mutes
mute
everything.
Audacity.
Yeah. Sorry.
Podcast problems.
All right. So now I'm getting fingers.
David, enough with the fingers.
It
All right. How
wasn't
about
me,
I
it was
just
that fifth
He just
guy.
wants to hear us say the word fingers a bunch of times.
I know.
No, like the clicky was the high point. It's all downhill from there.
Here come the phalanges.
Phalanges. That's how my mom always says it. I don't know why, but that's how she always
Your
says
mum
it.
always says phalanges, like all the time.
Okay, so she's a nurse, so she does.
Okay.
For some reason, it was just phalanges.
There you go.
And if we've survived coronavirus, a quick start and a cuddle.
But it's not going to be printed on toilet paper for sure.
No, it
No,
will not.
that stuff's too precious.
We have, run out of it at the moment in Australia. Not sure why. But
That's a
that
joke
did
that's
happen.
going to last. That's a...
Well, it's
That's
either
a
going
joke that's-
to, or we'll still have run out of toilet paper when this airs, and we'll be in even more trouble. So,
Or
That's-
if those of you in the post-apocalyptic future have discovered Character Creation Cast, which you should, and you're looking back and laughing at us going, how little you knew.
the toilet wars.
If only you'd had toilet rolls.
You know, I mean, although speaking of, it wouldn't surprise me if Australia had the toilet wars, considering that we have had an emu war.
Yes, which we lost.
Which we lost. And I think we drew on the second emu war.
Yeah.
Well, I mean... No, there's no excuse for that. I was going to try and make an excuse for that, but there's no excuse for that.
It was us versus.
There is no excuse for Australia, honestly.
I feel affirmed. Anyway, kindness is what this game is about, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. Where did we leave off? Sorry, Nate is super nervous about this competition. He's having some anxieties about it. So
What's the
can't sleep.
competition in?
He's it's called Destination Imagination. Do you guys have forensics?
We might do under a different name. What is forensic?
So it's this. It's a Ryan. How do you explain forensics? So this is they're putting on a skit, and they had to build an invention, and then they put on the skit about their invention, and then they have to be able to explain the thing that they made and do a whole thing.
That's one of the categories of forensics. I was in forensics for a couple of years in high school where I read poetry.
Okay.
It's competitive. It's a competitive poetry reading, basically.
Yeah, so there's like speech and so theirs is like for this one they have the technical challenge.
Okay.
So they had to build something, but then they also have to like present it somehow, and so they chose to do a skit.
Oh, nice.
To present they made an outlet cover that's like magnetic and it opens and like has a top and a bottom because you can never get the little like pluggy things out. It's pretty cool.
This sounds so awesome. Why don't we have that in Australia?
No, I don't.
I don't know. We don't have it here either, except for this group of 8-year-olds that invented it. So they have the one prototype.
That's amazing.
Oh, I mean, I meant forensics, but yes, that as well.
Oh, yeah.
Forensics was lovely. I learned so much of how to like speak publicly by doing forensics for 2 years.
I love that this is like a miniature version of academic decathlon, which is what I did, because that had like speech and like you had to have a prepared speech and impromptu speech. You did interview, and then you also had like however many subjects are left, 7 other
I know
subjects of like
was one
math,
them.
science.
In forensics, there was storytelling, which was like poetry, only you're reading stories.
Yours was much more, forensics is much more like, presentation.
Artsy presentation sort of stuff.
Yeah, academic decathlon was like reading math, science, art, music.
I got to yell at people for my poetry.
Oh.
I yelled at the audience that they weren't meditating.
Believe
Nice.
that's a true thing that happened.
No, it is because
You yelling at people.
I read poetry. It was nonsense poetry, so it was poetry that had no real sense to it. And one of the poems was about a meditation where he started off really gentle, like this is a meditation, and he started talking about the different things, and then it got really weird, and then the trees started biting the noses off of children, and like the tree started eating people, and then he like snaps at the end of the poem and he yells, "You're not meditating." So I got to do that.
Wow.
That's kind of fun.
It was a lot of
I kind of
fun.
like that.
Yeah. And another poem, the narrator squished an elf, like little tiny pixie sized elf, because he didn't like the way he was talking.
We've all been
It
there.
was very strange.
Okay, sorry, back on track.
So,
I had to go comfort an anxious child. I'm back now. Where did we leave off?
yeah.
So we just
my
finished
children,
talking about.
my children know about Nate, and so you can tell Nate that Aiden and Zaria from Australia are cheering for him tomorrow.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. I will tell him. We should make them be pen pals. We'll talk later.
We will.
International pen pals. It's a good plan.
Thing. You'll just have
That's
to read
amazing.
it upside down in order to get that true Australian.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll hang him by his toes and then have him read the mail.
There you go.
Parenting done right.
Yep.
I have a picture somewhere when he's a baby of like me holding him like this, but he's upside down.
Mum, don't make me read the letter from Australia again, please.
But it's so nice.
They've sent you another letter, Nate.
Oh no. Perfect situation for some help from a hen gay.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for being a grown-up.
Now we're back in it.
We're in trouble. If I'm the grown up, we're all in trouble.
Oof.
It's been 14 years since it first came out in Japan.
Oh, 2006 was 14 years ago?
Yep.
Ah,
Welcome to the future.
Why would you tell me that? Oh, God, I'm so old.
Sorry for all these facts that are happening.
that's what. I was in Beauty and the Beast that year. That was a while ago.
I was 1 year out of college.
I was still in high school.
I had just finished high school the year before,
I am.
Oh, we're almost the same age then.
or
I
I'm
am
really bad at high school. One of those two.
Could be. Who knows? I think about that sometimes. I'm like, I'm 31 and I already take 8 pills a day and all of them are for my mental health. What's going to happen when my body falls apart?
Like at that point,
Like-
can they just like zhuzh them up and just turn them into a paste? And I can put
Right.
them in,
You
like,
mix
a
them with my
protein smoothie?
bananas.
Exactly. So I can have my banana shake in the morning and just
Yeah.
them in there.
Just stir them into my banana pudding.
that's it.
Yep. Because then you get the calories as you're taking your pill.
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's not going to work, though, because I have to have the calories an hour before I take the pills.
okay.
And shortly before I summon an Elder God.
So I guess what you need to do then, at least you're doing that on the regular.
Right.
But what you need to do is you need to crush up the pills on the bottom of your cup of bananas, and they're just take an hour
By
to
the time
eat
you get to it. Right, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, see?
Good plan.
See?
If I can,
It's like a dirt cup, but pills.
I realize I set everything up so well, except I didn't bring my pen. So I'm going to go and get a pen. Back in a moment.
Okay.
Yeah. I got to crack my back.
Crack your back.
Wait, if this is a break, I might nip to the bathroom just quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Break. Oh,
Also, oh my gosh, hello, Ryan. It's been a while.
hello.
Everyone's gone. Oh no, Ryan's still there. Hi, Amelia.
So I was cracking
Hello.
my back.
I was trying to, and mine won't crack. It hurts so
Mine
bad.
also will not crack. So they moved us into pods at work. Like normally we were in cubicles, like our own little cubicles and stuff, right? And I say little as they were like, let's see, for about maybe 8 by 8 foot by 8 foot. So pretty decent sized cubicles. And now we're in these pods where our whole team is in one open space with
I hate open concept
with
anything.
tables all around the walls of the pods, right? The tables that we're on that are quote unquote our desks, they rise up and down, which is cool. But they gave us chairs that are only at regular sitting height. And the lumbar support on the chairs is fantastic. But the cushion on the chairs is horribly bad for sitting for, 8 hours in a day. So it's like, in theory, these chairs would be fantastic. But now I understand why they gave us standing desks. So we can get out of those chairs and not be stuck on them.
Ugh.
So
I've had just a really bad tension. I don't know if it's a muscle thing with this new medication or something like that, because I've been clenching my jaw too. But I have such a bad ache in my shoulders now.
oh, yeah.
And now it's moving down my back, so I'm very uncomfortable.
Ugh. Well,
I know, and I'm probably gonna have to sit in bleachers or something tomorrow at this competition too. I'm gonna love it.
That's never on the brochure about, yes, I want to see my child, and then they're going to run over to me and, the unfeeling dad trope doesn't do justice to the fact that, I'm sorry, kid, I just can't get up right now. I have no feeling below my navel.
Right. Yeah, it's not that I don't have feelings. It's I don't have feeling. just the one.
Exactly. So I have a pen now because I am prepared. So
I think we're waiting. Are we waiting for?
No, come back.
Oh, okay. I couldn't see you because we've got the dock up. So okay.
I'll put I can.
Because mine lets me see the dock and the people.
yeah. I moved
I can
my...
see Doc.
Well, I can only see whoever's talking. So
Oh, I have mine set up differently. I can see everybody.
So you can click.
I could probably
I think it's
extend it,
gallery
but
view.
I have set
You
up.
click
Yeah.
gallery view.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Is that a podcat?
It is a podcast.
I think that's a podcat.
My very own helpful Henge has decided to join us. She knows if I'm sitting at this chair, I'm trapped and she can get pats.
That is a very stiff tail too,
Yeah.
which reminds me very much of one of my cats.